Hey guys,
What's up?
it's Monday night.
Another one.
Another Monday night. Hey guys, time is flying. It's already January 31st.
I know. I'm bloated from dinner. My body's not used to all those vegetables.
First of all, that is such a lie, but I
Right.
cooked with no oil, no sugar, no salt.
Because it's what?
Well, not no salt. I used a little bit of sea salt.
Day one on the cleanse.
Day one.
So,
Oh, good.
but we're going to go over tonight. Let's talk about what we're going to go
Yeah.
over.
All right. So we've been talking about detoxing and cleansing this whole time, the past few weeks. And what we like to hit are things that we know that people have questions about. So one of the things that we've been talking about is day 5. Day 5 is a fasting day. And again, if you see my videos or you saw us last week, don't get freaked out by a fast, especially if you start off doing what we're doing. So day 1 and 2, you can eat fruits and vegetables, and you can even have some grains, non-glutinous grains. And then by day 3, we're getting rid of the grains. By day 4, we're getting rid of fruit. And then by day 5, your blood sugar is pretty much leveled out and you're ready to fast, and it's not painful, I promise. So one of the questions, though, that people have is, what is the difference? Well, first of all, what does fasting do?
Well, I guess when your body goes into fasting, what it's doing is it's looking for food and then doesn't have any food, so it goes into reserves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the first place it's going to do that is really in your liver, and that's the first place that's the most area we have stored for glucose. And then from there, after it uses that up, then it's going to go into the restorers of your fat, right? So belly fat, butt fat, thigh fat.
Yeah, and it's actually going to start using even your toxins as reserves.
Right.
So it's going to use your toxins as energy. That's called autophagy. And ultimately, that's the best way to get rid of stuff you don't want and to lose weight.
Right. So that's and then what happens is your body goes into a state of where it starts to eat up all the bad guys, and it becomes a really turns over because basically every 120 days you're a new person. So if junk makes junk and good makes good. So if you're turning over and you're making bad cells, you're going to continue to make bad cells. If you go make good cells, you make good cells. So you want to get rid of some of that junk that's in between and filter that out, so the body's starting to create just better cells. That's a really big idea.
And ultimately, in fasting, you're putting yourself into a state of ketosis, which is not to be confused with ketoacidosis, which is with diabetics, what diabetics will have, because the liver is producing acid. That's completely different state, because I've also had people who have diabetes that say, I hear this isn't safe for me. I don't want to go into ketosis.
Yeah, and they have to watch. They just have to really monitor their blood sugar. But I've had a lot of diabetics can do this, and they've successfully done it just because it balances blood sugar out so well. So, but you just got to monitor it and keep an eye on it.
Yeah. And that's why people like Dr. Joe here do what they do. So they can help people who aren't really sure about how to go about getting healthy and the right things to do and how to monitor themselves. Because sometimes things can, I don't want to say go bad, but kind of go off the rails a little bit in your symptomatology. So you want someone to watch out that knows what to expect and then how to walk you through that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So we do fasting. It's only one day. It's only day 5. But here's the thing. If you read your booklet, you could do as many days really as you want. And it actually suggests that you do even 3 days, which is something that I'm going to attempt to do this time. And then beyond that, something that is really beneficial for you. Now we're going to start integrating foods back in by day 6 or 7 or 8, whatever day it is that you choose. But something that's really beneficial and will help to keep you in a state of ketosis where you're burning fat for energy rather than burning sugar for energy, which is what you normally do if you eat a regular Western diet, is to intermittent fast.
Yeah. And I think when you get out of the cleanse, there's a couple good choices that you can go after. People are like, what do I do next after 10 days? And so there's a few things. I mean, there's intermittent fasting, there's paleo diet, there's keto diet. And then if you're having an autoimmune, which I do a lot of this with my autoimmune patients, there's something called Aip, Autoimmune Protocol, or autoimmune, even like Paleo, they call it the Autoimmune Paleo Protocol. So there's several different diets. We're going to dive into those in a second, but those are where people get stuck on, and they're like, what's the difference? How do I do it? And then how do I go after it? So we can break that down for you guys for a few minutes here.
Yeah. And the intermittent fasting you can do with any diet. I mean, you can do it with your Western diet. And basically it's a short fast that you do during the day.
And it's usually an 18-hour window.
Yeah.
of where you're not eating. And so, 16, 18 hours where you're holding yourself, not eating. So say if you went from dinner to dinner, basically, right? That's kind of where you go.
The great thing is half of your day or half of that time is spent sleeping. So you're not missing
Yeah,
eating.
it's not too bad.
And whether you're intermittent fasting, doing keto, paleo, or AIP, you can still drink black coffee, make it organic, black tea, like meaning don't add anything to it. Don't add any, cream or
There's
anything
people
or
high-fiving
sugar.
everywhere over that comment.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, I can do it.
Yes. And of course, you want to drink lots of water, but you can also drink sparkling water. It will also hydrate you like water will.
And so when you do intermittent fasting, typically that's like the people like to do dinner to dinner, and that's good. But there is a rhythm to it. And so there's some people do better, like where they just do 5 days of intermittent fasting, 1 day of fasting, 1 day of heavier carbs. Some people do better at a 4-day, 3-day rotation. Some people do better at a 3-day, 2-day.
And that's a diet variation.
Yeah. So that's basically diet variation in the sense of like, if you're intermittent fasting, then you're fasting and then you're having carbs in there, and that just changes metabolism. And I've mixed it up with people all over for different reasons. And sometimes it's a little trial and error because you don't know who's going to respond to what and what diet. So you just got to understand where you're at, look at your blood sugar, monitor your blood sugar, then you can kind of tell what level is working best for you.
Yeah. And so, and one of the great things about the diet variation, I mean, you're still using, you may be fasting on a day, you're still using intermittent fasting. So you're putting your body into a state of ketosis, which decreases inflammation. It makes you a more efficient fat burner. So it'll help you to lose weight.
Increases hormones.
Increases growth hormones, which allow for healing. Right. But the great thing about the diet variation is it actually allows you to be more efficient at fat burning and sugar burning. Yeah. So you're not stuck just in one diet.
And we mentioned that a couple weeks ago. But the thing we do something called InBody in the office, which people don't know what that is. It's like this machine. It checks like your overall body water weight, your muscle mass, but also looks at visceral fat, and visceral fat's around the organs, and you need that fat. I think I might have mentioned this. But what happens is super important is that if you have too much visceral fat, that's like super dangerous fat. That's like the worst fat to burn.
That's this fat.
And it's the hardest fat to get rid of. It's super hard, right? So in the body, there's a few different types of fat, and there's the dangerous one's called the beige fat. It's like the mixed fat between brown and white fat, and it's called the beige fat. And that one you can't burn because your body is like, is it white or is it tan? Like, is it beige? So it doesn't understand what to do with it, and so it becomes very, very difficult fat to burn. And when that happens, that's
my first time hearing this.
That's the hardest time to burn that out. So that's why when you're doing fasting, you start dipping out of the reserve of white or brown, and you're going into some of the beige. And that's really important because it's a healthier process for the organs. So
what are some diseases that we have a tendency to get and eating our Western diet and having some of that visceral fat?
A big one, fatty liver. That's a big one for that. So we get a lot of fatty livers in the practice.
How would someone know if they had fatty liver?
Typically, either they've been scanned and someone told them they had fatty liver, or their enzymes are typically, for us in functional medicine, anything above 30 is really considered getting into the fatty liver side of things. And once you get up past 45 or 50, you're in fatty liver.
What lab value?
Your AST and ALT. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So that's those values.
Sorry, I just totally put you on the spot.
Yeah, I had to go through my lab list and think about it for them.
Yeah. But I mean, diabetes, heart disease. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, really, an autoimmune disorders. No, I mean, because when you can't process foods in an efficient way, then it makes the body sluggish. You lose energy.
Same.
Right.
It's just, and it boils down to storage and how you're metabolizing, and which why the fatty liver becomes such a problem. So you just don't metabolize properly. And then when that happens, and hormones change, sugar changes, everything changes. And then everything happens in the liver. Remember, liver, chicken dinner.
Yeah. He's got the best sayings.
I'm hungry. Day one.
Day one, you're so not hungry. I just fed him well.
No, I'm good.
We had some stuff. The first time I ever tried to make stuffed peppers without meat.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
Very different.
So we'll post a picture.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get we went into keto.
Okay.
Then we're going to go to paleo.
So, something that I've read many times by Thomas Edison, the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patients in the care of the human frame and diet and the cure and prevention of disease. Guys, food is medicine if you allow it to be.
Yeah, I agree.
And actually, I think Hippocrates said that.
Yeah.
So this is well known for centuries, but we need to take control, number one, by having knowledge. Knowledge is power. It's powerful if you put it into action. So these are things that you can go off, and I want you to investigate further and see what works best for you.
Oh, there's so much online about this. It's
oh
crazy.
my gosh, it's everywhere. Yeah. It's everywhere. So
paleo, let's talk about the paleo versus keto difference.
Okay. So basically on all diets, you're not having any alcohol. There's no grains. There's no starchy vegetables on paleo.
If you have any questions too, drop them in there. I'd love to hear questions.
Please do. Can we see our responses?
I think we can.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, just hit them in there.
On paleo and the autoimmune protocol, there's no dairy. There's no refined sugars. There's no sweeteners. Let me see. Even with the processed foods, there's no sausage because that's processed. There's also no deli meats. So while you can have meat, you want to have like free range
for paleo, right?
For paleo and autoimmune.
And here's confusion there. In some of the world of paleo, they believe that dairy is okay, and then some of the paleo world says dairy is not okay.
Well, no, that's keto.
No, it's paleo.
Paleo?
Yes, paleo says that
I had no idea.
It's like that's like the argument in the paleo world is because is it safe? Is it not safe? But in keto, you can have like your sour creams, your yogurts,
right?
Like those kind of things are important because that's what's in the keto. Like it's good, rich, probiotic, heavy fat type of thing.
Yeah.
So then that's a little fuzzy. Like, do you do organic heavy cream in that too?
Yes.
And that gets a little.
Well, that's by my experience.
Yeah. And that it's a fine.
And the way I look at like the paleo and the AIP is they are considered to be ancestral diets. Yeah. So what did we eat back in the days of the caveman? What was around, when we were chasing lions and we were hunting to survive. So whatever you could grow and whatever you could catch, that's basically it. So in my thought process, it would make sense that we didn't do dairy on paleo. But from what I'm taught and what I've learned and what I've read up on keto, it's okay. But you want to have the full fat,
That's what I'm saying. It's
organic version, not the low fat. Low fat gives you nothing. And if you're not doing organic, then you're drinking or eating the meat or the dairy from animals that are sick. And that are pumped full of antibiotics and hormones and steroids so they could grow bigger, faster, produce more. We don't want that. We want the good stuff.
Keto also it's lower in carbs. So you're keeping your carbs around 15 to 20 grams a day, which is really low, increasing your fat real high. So, and remember, if you eat chicken, this is a good question, everybody. If you eat chicken, what does it turn into? Protein?
Sugar.
It turns into sugar. So people don't realize that it does that. So every time you eat protein, it does turn into sugar. So fats don't turn into sugar. Fats just get burned. So it's a big difference.
I think that's one of the battles between keto and paleo is paleo calls for more protein, which protein, like you said, turns into sugar, which creates a process called gluconeogenesis.
But what happens is if you're eating a standard American diet and you go into paleo, your levels of what you've done before and after are so
much
different.
Better.
People drop so fast in weight is because of that, because you just completely changed the way your body's producing it. But keto goes a little deeper into it and it says, no, we're going to restrict down the caloric intake of carbs, and then we're going to increase fat and take away that protein side of it. Goes a little deeper.
And take away the sugars, because sugars are carbs.
Right. And then you get into AIP, and AIP is basically keto, but then it takes away some other specific foods like nightshades and things like that.
Nightshades meaning they're
eggplant.
Eggplant.
Yeah. Eggplant.
Actually, even tobacco.
Yeah.
Did you know tobacco's a nightshade? I had no idea. Jalapenos,
Yep.
poblanos, they're nightshades. Potatoes are nightshades. So while on paleo, it's no starchy vegetables, which is also the case, I believe, in keto, right?
Yeah.
There are you can choose to have some starchy vegetables, but there's absolutely no nightshades in the autoimmune protocol.
Just because there's certain things in those that we know that are reactive to people with autoimmune diseases, and it's just too deep to get into here, but there's several things in even like organically raised fruits and vegetables, types of things that we know that are just reactive. So we've learned that. So basically, like the order is like if you're trying to lose weight, people typically jump into either intermittent fasting, and then if that doesn't seem like it, they go paleo. If that doesn't seem like it's keto, and then that's not working, then typically it's an AIP. That's kind of the progression.
Yeah, like if you know that you have an autoimmune problem, if you've got a gut issue, a diagnosed gut problem, then you just want to go right to AIP, autoimmune protocol. That's going to be the most beneficial to you. If you have never done any of them before, then you might want to try to start with keto or paleo,
Yeah, that's what I was
and then
thinking.
you work your way into autoimmune protocol. That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
But as we've said before, you've heard me talk about it. I've done the autoimmune protocol. It's not easy at first.
No, it's not.
At first, when you're trying to figure out how to cook without oil and how to choose the right foods and then how to create food, because we're foodies. We like to eat good food. We like to eat tasty food, and we like to change it up a lot. So the challenge for me always is to find a way to create something that's almost like gourmet, like you're going to one of the best restaurants. We both do that, but do it in a way that it's healthy. And the other thing is we do our best to find companies and restaurants that they cook with integrity. They use ingredients with integrity. So if you're going to go out, know where you're going.
Yeah. So that's it. I think we covered everything today. I don't see any questions. I think I'm not seeing the questions properly.
I think there's a problem with our system.
Yeah, there's a problem with the questions, because I know there's questions out there.
Yeah, and oftentimes we see these questions after the fact. So we'll make sure if you leave your question, please leave it in there. Leave your email address in there. Let us know who you are. Let us know if you have any interest in learning more. And let us know, obviously, if Dr. Joe might be the path for you to learning what exactly is wrong with you. Because here's the deal. We talked about it before. Everybody does not respond to detoxes and cleanses the same way. We all have different genetics. We all have different levels of health. We all have different gut health. So we want to make sure that we're helping each and every person in a way that's going to generate the best results, the best outcomes for you. And oftentimes that takes some leadership and guidance. So
That's awesome.
if you're looking for that, let us know. Just put your email in the box and we'll be sure to get in touch with you. Put your questions in there and we'll be sure to get back with you later.
Awesome, guys. Have a great night. See you next week.